Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Troy from Cichlid Bros. In today's video, we're going to be feeding all of our fish. We're going to start with the 4 aquariums down here in my basement, and then we're going to kick it over to my brother Quinn and then Alec in the video. We get asked very often what we feed our fish to get them to grow and color up, and so we figured we'd put this all in one video for you. Before we dive in though, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. And guys, let's dive right in. So starting off with my 180 gallon South American cichlid tank, these guys always follow me across the tank thinking they're about to be fed. They're a little shy right now with a camera and light in their face, but even so, they're still greeting me at the top of the tank. I usually feed a combination of pellets and flakes from Extreme. They really like the big fella pellets, which are really great for medium to larger size cichlids. One thing I do like about the Extreme pellets is they do sink pretty quickly. So a lot of my geophagus that like to sift the bottom of the sand really prefer those types of pellets. Since these South American cichlids are medium sized right now, I do feed a combination of these big fella pellets with the smaller cichlid peewee pellets, which again sinks pretty quickly and it's smaller size, so it's good for the geophagus. They're starting to grow bigger, so they'll eventually eat mostly the big fella pellets. I usually feed them 1 or 2 times per day, and I will also skip a day each week where I don't feed at all. I'm a big believer in not overfeeding your fish and compromising your water quality. You'll be much better in the long run if you just don't overfeed. I typically like the protein-rich diets for most cichlids. However, I do have Severums and my chocolate cichlid and even my bala shark in this tank, which do prefer a rounded diet with some vegetable matter as well. So I do mix in spirulina flakes from Extreme as well. And then one last thing to note is that I do feed frozen brine shrimp or bloodworms probably once every 10 days or so just as a treat, as I really do like that extra protein. And then right around the corner from my 180 is my 48 gallon saltwater tank that is currently cycling, so we'll skip right past that. And then we have my 75 gallon American cichlid tank here, who primarily get the same diet. I have some Geophagus phenai, I have a rainbow cichlid, a macaw cichlid, and an electric blue acara in here. These guys are always eager for food. And I think just overall with fish food, it is important to look at the first few ingredients since that is primarily what makes up your food. So if you do see krill or shrimp listed as the top ingredients, you can see that it's high in protein and it's quality food. And although I do like Extreme for a lot of my cichlids and fish, you'll even see that my brothers use different brands and types of foods. So I do think there are a lot of great brands out there that you can choose from, and I think it's all about just picking what makes the most sense for you and your fish keeping needs. Then my last aquarium down here in my basement is with my apistogramma and my desktop aquarium. This guy's my little buddy as I'm always working from home now, and he just always greets me, and I even feed him out of my hand at times. And since he's one of the smaller cichlids, I do stick with the cichlid peewee pellets from Extreme. Okay guys, that does it for the 4 aquariums down here in my basement. I also have a koi pond in my backyard, but it is winter time and the koi are in hibernation mode while the pond is covered in ice and snow. That will be another video once we come into spring and we open the pond back up. But that does it for my section. I'm going to kick it over to Quinn over in his classroom to continue the video.
Hey, what's up guys? Quinn here. So it's now time that we're going to feed the 4 classroom aquariums. Alright guys, so first up, the 75 gallon. Typically I feed these guys about 3 to 4 times a week. I feed them just a standard pellet diet, specifically the big fella pellets from Extreme Aquatics. But for today I'm going to feed them a treat, some frozen brine shrimp. They love this. They are not the aggressive eaters that you might see with my brother Alec or even my brother Troy's 180 gallon. They really like to hide and stay in their corners, but eventually they do sift through and get most of it up. Put in a little extra today just to hopefully get them more active. So next up is the 29 gallon with the much smaller Jack Dempsey. This is from the same gene pool as my Jack in the 75 gallon. There is still one leftover Giant Danio in here. Giant Danios especially love the frozen brine shrimp, and this Jack Dempsey will eat pretty much anything I put in the tank. Next up is Felix the flower horn in my 55 gallon. She is a little full right now. I gave her some freeze-dried krill yesterday, So I think she is a little bloated from that, so she's not eating as aggressively as she typically would, but she'll absolutely eat anything and loves the brine shrimp as well. Lastly is the 20 long here. So in the 20 long, I have my crayfish. This guy is named Hammer, and he is absolutely hilarious to watch. I feed him an algae wafer about 3 times a week, and it's pretty cool. Whenever you put it in the tank, you can see his whiskers immediately start to flare up and sense that there's food in the water, and immediately will go get it, grab it, and hide underneath his rock in his little cave there. This is the desk where I do most of my work throughout the day, so he actually does have a lot of personality and comes out and roams the tank pretty good. Alright, so that's it for the 4 classroom tanks. Let's head to my apartment and check out my final 2 tanks. Alright guys, now we're back in my apartment in the city of Chicago. So we have the 60-gallon Planet Aquarium to feed, and then a quick review of the Water Box 20 Cube. This is our first saltwater tank. Alright guys, so the first thing I'm going to feed is the Sustainable Aquatics Hatchery Diet. These are just little pellets. The Oscularis love these, and then the shrimp can also sift through some of this, and then even the corals can eat some of it as well. But it's primarily for the clowns. Also, it's worth noting that I do turn off the return pump for this, so the water is very, very still. The idea of this is so the pellets don't just get immediately sucked into the overflow, and more of the pellets actually make it down to the fish. So you'll probably see the fire shrimp come out here in a second once it senses. Oh, there he comes. Yeah, so this guy hides most of the time underneath the rock, but he comes out definitely whenever the pellets are dropped in. All right, so next up will be for the coral. I have these 2 pump bottles here that I keep in my fridge. They're primarily phytoplanktons from Next Bite, that's the company. So I do like to turn on the empty tin for this, just so the water gets moving and the corals can more actively sift through. So you can see there, the food is now more universally distributed throughout the tank, and these corals can get their food. I will note, typically I will feed them with the lights off. That's typically how corals do in the wild, but just for the sake of the video, I'm keeping the light on for you guys. All right, so next up is the Planet tank. I feed this tank primarily flakes, specifically the Extreme Aquatics Community Crave. I feed these fish about 2 or 3 times a week, and they typically go crazy for the food, unlike my cichlids in my classroom. Just a quick rundown, we have the neon tetras in here. We have some Odessa barbs and some harlequin rasboras. All right guys, that's it for my tanks. Now it's time to pass it over to my brother Alec.
Alright guys, so now that you've seen how Troy and Quinn feed their fish tanks, I'm going to show you how I feed my 5 fish tanks, starting with the 125-gallon African cichlid tank. Let's jump right into it. Alright, so I stick with the Northfin brand, 3 different types. First one here is the Jumbo Fish formula. It's 6mm pellets for some of the bigger guys in here. The overall cichlid formula is my other one. That's 3mm pellets, which all of them can take in. And I also throw in some veggies in there. I do have one omnivore in here that likes a little bit of veggies in their diet. And then once in a while, this is an empty bottle, but I do feed the krill once in a while as a treat. Alright, so as you guys can see, these guys are absolutely ravenous. They go crazy for feeding time. They always act hungry, so it's easy to overfeed, but you gotta be careful not to. I'm gonna start out with the jumbo pellets, so you can kind of see the size here and how much I feed. And here we go, let's see if they splash me. They usually like to splash me. Oh, here we go. It's tough to keep the glass clean with how much they splash, but look how fast they eat this stuff. So they gobbled that up so fast. I'm going to throw a little bit more in there, the jumbo. I'm going to set that aside and go straight for the cichlid formula. Grab a little handful of that. Make sure everybody can get some. Normally you want to stick to the how much food the fish can eat in a 2-minute time span.
That might not quite work for this type of fish with how fast they eat. This will all be gone in about 30 seconds. So while they gobble that up, I'm going to go ahead and grab the veggie formula. Throw a little bit of this in there. I know my tangerine tiger will like that. And it's good overall just for a balanced diet anyway. You can see they're just going to town with it. Alright, so while they gobble that up and finish eating, I'll move this way. Shrimp tank, I've already shown you this one. It's my crystal red shrimp. I feed these guys two different types of things. One is the Bacter AE. It's basically bacterial film. And what I do is it comes with a little dipstick, and just a little bit will stick to that dipstick that is wet, and I'll kind of swish it around like so. What this does is just enhances the biofilm that the shrimp love to eat and really base most of their diet on. And it also helps with the smaller shrimp that can't eat the other type of food that I feed. Snow pops from Shrimp King. And what I do is you open it up here. It's basically just a little pellet like this. And when you put it in, it will kind of expand and be really easy to flake off. And it's something that the shrimp just love, and they swarm. I feed that about maybe 4 or 5 times a week, and the Bacter AE just about every day. Alright, so here is my new tank that I have not shown you guys yet. It was just set up a couple weeks ago, and I just stocked it with some brand new Taiwan B shrimp. I've kind of become a shrimp nerd lately, so I wanted to get another shrimp tank, and here it is. And really the feeding is the same. I still use the shrimp pops or snow pops from Shrimp King, and I really rely heavily on the Bacter AE because these shrimp are really small. Got them from Flip Aquatics. You can just see they are swarming the snow pops. These are Taiwan Bs, some Black King Kongs, and Blue Bolts. 2 different variations of the Taiwan B. Alright, so while these guys go to town on this food, it's time to go upstairs and I'll show you how I feed my last 2 tanks. Alright, so here's my second new fish tank. I'm in my son Kendrick's room. Kendrick, what do you like most about your new fish tank?
Lava.
He likes the lava rocks. We have a lava rock scape with lava rock gravel as well. So fish flakes. We have a couple old glowfish from his previous tank, and we also have a peacock gudgeon in here with stocking updates to come. So here we go, Kendrick, you ready?
Yeah.
Just feed him a little bit of fish flakes and watch him go to town. Alright, now I'm in my second son Axel's room. Axel, say hi.
Hi.
And he has a 2.5 gallon Fluval speck with a beta fish in there named what?
Leo.
Leo, just like who?
The blue ninja turtle.
The blue ninja turtle. And we feed Leo beta formula pellets from Aquariums. How many of them do we feed?
2.
2 pellets, okay. Pour it in there. See if he gets it. He got him. Say good job, Leo.
Good job, Leo.
Alright guys, so that's it. All of our fish are fed, they're happy. So if you have any questions about how much we feed or anything like that, let us know in the comments below and we'll happily get back to you. And we'll see you next time.